lane. Player goes, makes the pass, boom, finishes, and then look, once again, inbound pass. Look where he's passing the ball. He sees exactly where he's passing the ball. Look at the eyes of T.J. McConnell right here in that gap, staying up on it again, Greeny. I mean, just making play after play after play. And the way the play just ends, I mean, this is what I love about him the most. He throws the ball out of bounds, and he just screams at the camera! He screams at the camera! That's the type of energy you need to have in order to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Absolutely. Okay? You've got to match their fire with your fire. Oklahoma City is supposed to be the team that squeezes
the play. And the way the play just ends, I mean, this is what I love about him the most. He throws the ball out of bounds, and he just screams at the camera! He screams at the camera! That's the type of energy you need to have in order to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Absolutely. Okay? You've got to match their fire with your fire. Oklahoma City is supposed to be the team that squeezes the life out of you, and it's Indiana that's doing it, and those are great examples.
Heartbeat is just pounding.
No, but that's really well done, and it goes to show you sometimes, like they use the phrase, they just seem to want it more. You know,
that's wanting it more.
You know, both sides want it, but he played last night like he wanted it more. It's outstanding tape. And so the Pacers have a 2-1 lead headed to Game 4 of these NBA Finals. The drama has really unfolded, and we will have all the action for you tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern. The game's on ABC, on ESPN Deportes, and on ESPN Radio. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. In other NBA news, the New York Knicks are now 0 for 5 in their head coaching interview requests as they look to replace Tom Thibodeau. They were denied in their efforts to interview Ime Udoka and Chris Finch and Jason Kidd and Quinn Snyder, and then last night, reportedly, Billy Donovan as well. So this is turning into something of an embarrassment, and Charles Barkley had harsh criticism of the Knicks.
The Knicks got to be the stupidest damn people in the world. Like, you don't fire no good coach like that and don't have a plan. I mean, Tibbs did a hell of a job. Obviously, something's going on there, but they don't have a plan now. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
Okay, and so we should point out that in addition to the NBA coaches they've been denied permission to talk to, Jay Wright has said he doesn't want the job. Rick Pitino has said he doesn't want the job. Dan Hurley has said he doesn't want the job.
Ted Lasso.
So we have no shortage of people who will not be the next head coach of the New York Knicks. Where does this lead? They look right now, it looks embarrassing. There's something about me that wants to say they've got something up their sleeve, but I, for the life of me, don't know what it is. What is your perspective from where you sit in front of that armoire?
Well, let me say two things. First off, you know, I can see and I have seen teams have interest in maybe one coach that has another job. But when you make the decision to fire your coach, you have to pay attention to who's available. And this is where this doesn't make any sense. They seem to be prioritizing people who are not available. But I will say, just because they've heard no's on all of these candidates, don't necessarily think that those are no's forever. And I do think the interesting name, the first time I've actually scratched my chin on this is with the name Billy Donovan, because that's a coach who you possibly could see maybe wanting to exit out of that situation. The Bulls have entered a rebuild. He left the Oklahoma City Thunder when they were interested in doing the full rebuild that they're now built for. And so, you know, he's got New York ties. That one makes some sense that they maybe could get that coach and that Billy Donovan would maybe have wandering eyes. But he appears to have been 5th or 6th or 7th down the list. He should have been at the top of the list if you were looking for coaches that you could poach. It doesn't make sense to poach coaches that are on teams that have just had highly successful seasons and are in the middle of long-term contracts. So I think that they have failed in their strategy here and how they've approached this decision.
So look, here's the only thing I can say, Winman. Obviously, that may be a little bit of a jolt there in the in the hotel room. But here's the only thing I will say. Like, the people we have repeatedly pointed out here, the Knicks have been a laughingstock for a quarter of a century. They are not now. The people running the Knicks have some idea what they are doing. Leon Rose, who runs the Knicks, and while I don't know what his voice sounds like, he knows what he's doing. There's no way they fired Tom Thibodeau and said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to ask for permission to talk to every coach in the league who's under contract and see what falls our way. maybe I'm giving them too much credit, Jay Will. I feel like there's a plan here we haven't seen yet. I feel like there has to be something up their sleeve.
You do not fire your coach and not have a strategy.
Right.
You don't do
this
that.
Can't be the strategy, right?
So I hear Chuck, and I hear how people want to blow gaskets over it, but there has to be a strategy. Also, you know, I know that we talk about free agents in the game. We have conversations around KD. We have conversations around Giannis. Historically, free agents do not make these type of decisions until we get to July. So there has to be a little bit of a delicacy here of, if we're going after player A, who does player A mess with as coach A? If we're going after player B, who does player B mess with from a coach B perspective? There's a lot of fluidity here, and I don't think the Knicks need to be in a rush at all. Okay. I think they can take their time. They're the only team with a free opening vacancy in the head coaching slot right now.
Yes. Oh, by the way, that is the only coaching vacancy in the entire NBA right now. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm guessing this is what you're saying. If they get Giannis, then they're going to want this coach. And if they get KD, then they're going to want this coach. And if they get neither of them, then they're going to want this coach.
Well, I mean, you're a host of a big-time show. Don't you want to say who your producer is?
Right.
1,000, I mean, it's that easy.
So what you're saying,
to some degree.
You want to see reversing the order. Go ahead, Wendy, go.
There's not going to be a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade in the short-term future. The league has come to terms with the realization that the Bucks are going to keep him, and Giannis is not going to ask for a trade. I can't speak to what might happen in August. They can't pin any coaching decision on Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they probably shouldn't plan to do it on Kevin Durant either, because I don't think they're in the best position to trade for him. I think you should remove those two options. Remove those two as any indications on how they might approach their.
So I just want to make sure I'm hearing you clearly, Wendy. So you're saying the options of KD and Giannis are no more in New York City?
I am saying Giannis Antetokounmpo is not getting traded before the Knicks are hiring a coach. Okay, so you can't pin the coach to what you may do on a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. And I think a Kevin Durant trade is going to be very complicated for the Knicks. I do not think that you can make your decision based on the acquisition of one of these star players.
Okay, so let's leave it there for the moment. We'll have to wait and see. There's so many moving pieces, and they're all surrounding the same team. So let's just come right over here. I mean, what do you think? Who of this group? Like, what do you like? What do you like for the coaching hire, and how? Charles Barkley said they look ridiculous right now. Do you feel like the Knicks look ridiculous right now?
I think the Knicks thought it'll probably be a little bit easier because of, if you're looking at the landscape of the East right now, you have Boston, you know, they're looking to rebuild.
Right.
And New York just got to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I thought, in my eyes, I'm thinking that they're seeing, oh, somebody will want to coach this team. Like, this is an open job. This is New York City. But at the same time, we see how many times they fire coaches, how many times coaches are in the hot seat. So if you have coaches at other places that have stability, it kind of like throws a wrench in it, right? Because why would I leave a team where I have stability or I know I'm going to be here? And if I don't win next year because the Celtics aren't around, what happens after that year?
He makes an interesting point. Maybe one could argue Tom Thibodeau maxed out what this roster was, and other coaches looking at it say, I'm not sure anyone's taken that team further than he just took them, and anyone who doesn't is going to be deemed a failure. Maybe that isn't as attractive a coaching job as we think it is.
I would agree with you, Greeny, especially with the coaches they have talked to, right? All these coaches are coming from winning programs, except for Quinn Snyder somewhat, but everybody else is comfortable. They've been to the playoffs, they've been to the Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals, but this is the Knicks, man. You know it has to be some type of controversy in New York.
Right.
That's just how it works, you know what I mean? But if I'm them, I'm going to take a stance like Jay said, man. I don't want to rush into getting a coach without knowing what my roster is going to look like, right? I want to take my time and build my roster and see how it looks, especially with being the only team that has a coaching vacancy. I have time. I don't want to rush anything.
Man, there are a lot of people who are expressing a lot of support for Mark Jackson. He's a very popular figure in New York. He's a New York kid. He played for the Knicks. You don't need me to tell you who that is. And Rick Pitino and many others have suggested him. Is there any reason he's waited a very long time and still never gotten another opportunity? Is there any reason to think that he has a real chance here?
I have not heard any indication that Mark Jackson is a candidate at this point.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that would like to see it for him one way or the other. There's a lot of sentiment for Jeff Van Gundy. I don't know that either of those are likely here.
Yeah, I love Mark. I think if you're looking at it and you're just being objective about it, he's been out of the league for a very long time. It's a very different league than when he was with the Golden State Warriors.
Right, we'll see. Hey, can I do a quick throwback Thursday? And this one is something of the self-serving variety. This was just about a month ago. Magic Johnson shared on Twitter his appreciation for our show and indirectly suggested that I should change my name. Listen. Magic Johnson made all of our day yesterday. He shouted out all of us. He referred to me, by the way, as Mike Greeny. And so I'm, after the show today, going to the Department of Motor Vehicles. I'm going to change my name to Mike Greeny. If that's what he wants to call me, damn it, Magic Johnson knows better than anyone. I think that's the way we should approach this.
Yes, 1,000%.
If Magic called me Greeny, I'm going to call me Greeny.
Mike Greeny. Mike Greeny.
Mike Greeny. 9:30 Eastern time this morning. Magic Johnson live on all this basketball stuff. He'll be with us for a half hour in hour number